Hey guys, Andy Smith here with another book look. Andy Smith, who? 34-year veteran of the comic book industry. Every week, I will pull a book off my shelf, go through it for you guys page by page to see if it's something you want to buy. And if it is, and if it's available, I'll post the link. Sometimes they're new books, sometimes they're old books. This book, guys, if you want to draw comic books for a living, this is a must-have. This is not a how-to draw book. It is a book on comics and sequential art by Will Eisner, the godfather of comic books. Will Eisner did a strip called The Spirit in the 40s. If you want to learn storytelling, this is the book you need. The Understanding and Practice of the World's Most Popular Art Form. I've had this book since I was in art school. I went to the Joe Kubert School. For those that don't know, I don't think this book was not part of the curriculum, as in it wasn't, or maybe it was. I honestly don't remember if this book, we did get a couple books in our art supply kit. This could have been one of them. This first printing was from 1985, so I didn't get it. Is this a first? This is not a first printing. This is I guess it's a fourth. 1987. I even highlighted things in this book that I can refer back to. Now, I haven't done that in a long time. I actually taught at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte campus, Sequential Art, and I would have my students get this book. So let's go through it some. This is an introduction and stuff, but this is the type of stuff that Will was just great at storytelling wise. This is the spirit back there. I also say, as a kid, as a youth, I did not appreciate Will Eisner's artwork nearly enough. And I'm glad that when I was going to the Kubert School, I saw the error of my ways. His figure movement, so much motion and gesture. I mean, look at this great storytelling. This dude gets shot, he falls to his death, and then the angel rises up. I mean, that's pretty cool. Text reads as an image, lettering treated graphically and in the service of the story functions as an extension of the imagery. In this context, it provides the mood, a narrative bridge, and implication of sound. In the following extract from a graphic novel, Contract with God, the use of and the treatment of text as a block is employed in a manner which conforms to such a discipline. He worked everything into his storytelling. And that's the thing. And this book doesn't go into color, but when you're drawing a comic book, it's not only just the art you put on the page for telling a story, the lettering enhances it, and the use of it, the color enhances it. An interaction has to develop because the artist is evoking images stored in the minds of both parties. On the left-hand side here, Chinese letter of pictograph rendered in two styles of brushstroke. And then he just breaks down kind of like illustrative symbolism and such. Here, the use of atmospheric lighting subtly alters the emotional nuance of worship in each panel. The underlying symbolic posture is given verbal and visual amplifications, dialogue, visually familiar objects such as spears, architectural elements, and costume. Facial expressions convey precise emotional messages. And it's all pretty much the same figure pose. This is from The Spirit. From a drawing standpoint, the way his cartooning is so nice. The way he does wrinkles, the exaggeration and such. There's many collections of the book, The Spirit, that he did. If you don't have them, I recommend getting at least one. I'll be honest, I only have a couple, and I don't have a Contract with God graphic novel. I have another one, or maybe I do have that one. I'd have to look at my bookshelf. I also have the Will Eisner sketchbook, which I should actually find and do a book look of. So guys, this book is not really super dense when it comes to the text, but it's all very important to read. And after you read it, kind of go through the page and dissect it to see what he's talking about. I love his use of lighting as well. Timing. It's so important in comics. The timing from one panel to the next. So here, I love this is why I highlighted it. 3 panels, a simple action whose result is immediate. Seconds, and it is. It's quick. Pulls a knife, shoots him, guy drops. Or you slow it down by adding the panels and stuff, and you just read it slower and you can feel the anguish of that guy. Love stuff like this. That's why you can't be, when you get a full script from a writer, you're the artist, you're the director. He might say something happens in one panel and you could break it up into 2 or 3 to slow the action down. It's really up to you as the storyteller. There's beats. It's like music. There's a rhythm to it. I even have this page marked for some reason. I don't even know why. An example of timing, allowing 2 panels for the lapse of time prior to the dropping of the body. The element of shock, surprise, and a bit of humor is introduced. Yeah, that's great. So dude's walking, body hits the overhang, goes through a little bit of humor, like he said, and stuff. And this could have just been done 1, 2, 3, and this taken out. Or you take that out and do here, here, here. Lots of variations. I love the dripping water there. All right, just fold over. This is probably one of my favorite chapters in the book, the timing and the flow of the storytelling and such. I should go back through and reread this stuff. It's always good to reread and just refresh. The scene viewed through the reader's eyes, seen from inside the reader's head. Final panel selected from sequence. So this is good because when you're writing, you have an action that you need to break down into possibly just one panel. So you kind of have to think through all the actions that occur and then figure out the best shot to show for it. Read tracking. I love this. How you want to lead the reader's eye around the page. I see a lot of comics these days. They don't employ that anymore. Full figure, medium shot, close-up. Very cool seeing that stuff. Panel shapes. The frame is a narrative device. Love this. He goes over the edge instead of keeping these panels stacked perfectly parallel and stuff. This helps show kind of the motion and such. I believe this book should be given or mandatory reading if you want to draw comic books. Playing with the panel outlines and such. He did all this stuff in the spirit. And once again, this was back in the 40s, 50s. It's all very clear storytelling. And I think this is why I gravitated more towards this and Joe Kubert type of storytelling than Jack Kirby. Jack Kirby, don't get me wrong, I love Jack's stuff, the power, the energy, the emotion in it. But those 6-panel, 4-panel, 9-panel grids he did, they were great. And one of the reasons Jack did them is because Jack was a very fast artist, Jack Kirby, and he could draw many pages in a day, 3 to 4 pages a day. And part of that's because he did those grids. Because basically, if you take out all the thinking behind storytelling like this and just say, I'm doing a 6-panel grid or a 4-panel grid, it does speed you up because, the layout takes me the longest time. Here he talks about the splash page. Splash page is, of course, one big single image. So even if you see a writer write, page 1, splash page, 2 inset panels, then it's technically a 3-panel page. It's not a splash page anymore. So I know I'm a little OCD about that stuff, but it does drive me crazy. But see, like Jack could take this and make it, let's say, a 9-panel grid. And I'm not counting how many panels are here, but let's say he did. Well, that speeds up his drawing process because he just throws down 9 equal-sized panels instead of worrying about open panel, vignette panel, close-up, breaking the border, and all the design stuff. And it's good to look at Kirby in those grids because his storytelling was so impactful and dynamic using just basic grids. Real quick, too, see, he's doing storytelling with the lettering here as it flows through the page. And his hand lettering, guys, this is way, this is in the 40s and stuff. No computer lettering. Look how gorgeous that hand lettering is. And once again, his cartooning. I love the way he does wrinkles and clothing. The way he does the paper folding here. And I never really noticed until getting into comics and really seeing influence on other artists. But John Bogdanove, who had a great long run on Superman, Man of Steel, started at Marvel. His superhero stuff is fantastic. But when I was really looking at it, the way he does wrinkles and exaggeration and stuff, very Will Eisner. And I think when I was a youth growing up wanting to draw superheroes, I would see art like this and go, bah, this isn't superheroes, big muscle dudes, hot chicks. What's this going to do for me? And then you see a guy like Bogdanove, and he's able to incorporate it. And John was a great superhero artist. And that's why you shouldn't neglect any really throw aside any type of artist just because it might not on the surface look like something you want to do. I love this in the storytelling here. You can really feel the wind and the cold and such. And this is in black and white. A lot of artists these days, because of how much a colorist can do, won't do stuff like this because they're like, oh, the colorist can handle it. But trust me, if you can convey all this in black and white, the colors will just enhance it. Good colorist. The super panel as a page. Where the super panel purports to be a page, this is to make the reader conscious of it as a page. It serves as a containment without perimeter. It is best employed for parallel negatives. So basically, here in this story, the following examples from Spirit Story 2 Lives, published in 1948. He's using the page to show multiple pages and showing 2 stories at the same time. Very cool way to do the narrative. Now, back then, these pages, comic book pages now are drawn on 11 by 17 paper. Back then, these pages were drawn twice up, which means they were drawn on paper that is roughly 17 by 22, 18 by 24. And that's why he could do stuff like this and still get some good clear drawing. See, here's a great example, 9-panel grid. And he broke up the center panel. They're all not the same size. So the top tier and bottom tier, the 3 panels, if you drop the gutters down, are the same, but then here he breaks it up because this is where more of the action is, pays more importance to it. The function of perspective. I know why I wrote this or saved it. Oh, well, panel composition, of course, got to go into panel composition. Once the flow of action is framed, it becomes necessary to compose the panel. This involves perspective and the arrangement of all the elements. The prime consideration are serving the flow of narrative and following standard reading convention. And that's a lot that people don't do in panels anymore. There's the flow you want to go through from panel to panel. And a lot that people don't do is they don't think about flowing from one panel to the next. And a way you do that is how you compose the elements in a panel. Perspective can convey emotion as well. You know, looking at a scene from above, the viewer has a sense of detachment, an observer rather than a participant. So a downshot, right? Whereas if you're looking up at something, you get a feeling of like dread almost. And whatever you're looking up at has like this power to it. A narrow panel evokes the feeling of being hemmed in, confinement, whereas a wide panel suggests plenty of space in which to move or escape. So think about that stuff when you're composing your panels. This has more of a sense of dread and doom because you're looking up at them than this does. This, you're detached. You're like, oh, whatever. Oh, that's gorgeous. So much information in this book. Look how much he packed into a page. And Will was great because even though some of the Spirit comics were in color, the color back then, it was just flat color. So it was just meant to enhance the art. But the way he balances white and black on the page is just gorgeous. So these books could be printed in black and white as well and work. This is so nice right there. Beautiful page here. Look, he's breaking the panel borders. But wait a second, he's breaking the top and all that. What? I heard from an editor in chief on a video that you shouldn't break panel borders at the top. Will, what are you doing? Of course you can. Knowing the rules and breaking them, nothing wrong with it. So he does go into expressive anatomy. Once again, not really how to draw, how to break down a figure, but he does these great little silhouettes here just to show different types of feeling and stuff and how little detail you need to get that across. So once again, another great chapter by Will. And if you haven't noticed throughout the book, his anatomy is so expressive. And he does get into the face. Once again, just great cartoonist. Not how to draw it, but just showing different types of expression. Just look at this emotion he gets through. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. Great storytelling there. Pulling in for this close-up, just one balloon, and then pulling back out. The figure's never just standing there doing nothing. I wish Will had a how to draw book. Love this. Look at that. So nice. And then writing and sequential art, the writer and the artist. So he goes into a little bit about the idea in the story or plot in the form of a written script includes narrative and dialogue balloons. So he talks about writing some here. The application of writing. I should go through and just reread this chapter again. So much time, so much stuff I want to reread and just not enough time. Story imagery, story development. Then we've got a little script here. Narrative, meanwhile. This is how he writes a script. Panel 1, narrative, meanwhile, spirit. Look here, Dolan, the city's crawling, and then what Dolan says, and in the scene. In Dolan's office, it's nighttime after hours. The only light is from Dolan's desk lamp. The spirit is looking out the window, out to the city. It is a big city police commissioner's office. There you go. More of his script. These are great to try and draw from. And these are nice because these are his pencils right here. A lot of the book has been pencil and ink, but now we're just seeing some of his pencils. His thumbnails, very nice. An example, what is this? An example of typical script style. Page 1, or page 1 missing. Okay, page 2, panel 1. Panel 2, panel 3, panel 4, panel 5. So this is more just the script. So you'd have to know more, obviously, of what's going on in the story to be able to draw this, because this is literally just the text, but you'd be able to get that and then draw from it. The use of sequential art, entertainment comics, the graphic novel, technical instruction manuals, which if you don't know, Will Eisner did technical instruction manuals for the Army for a long time, then Joe Kubert took over. Probably find those on eBay. Here it is. This is samples of an operator's manual. So this is what I'm talking about. Will did those for a while, and then, like I said, Joe took over. Attitudinal instructional comics. Of course, storyboards, ads. Man, I forgot everything that's in this book. Teaching and learning, how to look at things. Perspective, now he's just showing different things. He's showing light and shade, just the basics, nothing too in-depth. The unknown, the known, so you see the difference here. That's great. Threat, uplighting, candor, just regular down type lighting. Great stuff. I love this little bit on drapery. Very nice. What do we got here? Cartooning. This is cool. Realistic in his mind. And then that's cartoon of it. And then realistic rock, cartoon rock. That's cool. Each panel is a geometric shape. Composition. Each panel should be regarded as a stage wherein an arrangement elements take place. So it's cool. So this is the thing. When I'm trying to design a panel, I think of just the basics. Don't think of details. You know, think of large shapes, where they can be set in the panel to lead the eye and stuff like that, and focal points and such. Don't get buried in the details when first doing your thumbnails. Different types of printing, or the printing process, I should say, for back then, which is good to know, even though it's done differently now. And here's an index. And I love this, dictionary of terms, a panel, a border, gutters, page, tier balloons, tail style, technique. Great book. Even if you want to write comics and not draw them, this book is a must. But if you want to do comic books for a living, get this book. Enough said. The next book we're going to do is also by Will Eisner, so I will give you a little hint of what's to come next week. This book came out, I don't even know, I think I was out of the Kubert School when I got this one. Hold on, I'm just trying to find the year. You know me, I like to work up to tease you guys. This book came out in 2008. So I'm pretty sure at that point Will had already passed away, and I think, let's see, I don't know, I'll have to look into it. But this says a Will Eisner instructional book, Expressive Anatomy for Comics and Narrative. Now this book does go into like drawing stuff. So that's next week. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. And of course, go sign up for Lilineth Infernal Conflict, launching soon. Link in the description below. Bye-bye, everybody.